guys, thank you so much for coming to visit me again today in this video. So for today's video, I thought I would do another book video. Before I start that though, I did want to say Happy New Year's, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed your celebrations, and I hope you guys are safe and are staying safe throughout all of this. I know this past year has just been crazy, a wild roller coaster ride, but I hope that this new year brings about new blessings, and hopefully things progressively get better for everybody. So I did want to say that this video is kind of in celebration of my channelversary. I've had this YouTube account for a really long time, for many years, but it was only about 2 years ago that I got the courage to upload my own videos. So, my very first video on my channel, the original first one I deleted. I forgot why, but I deleted it. But so currently, the first video that I have on my channel is 2 years old. I uploaded it January 2019, so I'm kind of basing my channelversary off that now. So we're in January 2021, and it's been about 2 years since I started uploading videos. Throughout the 2 years, I haven't been like the most consistent, and I haven't uploaded like super frequently. And that's just because of school and work and things like that in life. But I am happy to say that I am able to do this a little bit more now. Like I have better equipment. I try to find time even if I'm a little bit tired. And I just overall really enjoy this, and I really appreciate all the support that you guys show me. Without you guys, I wouldn't be doing this or continue doing it. It wouldn't be worth it to me, I guess. And I hope that doesn't sound bad. I don't mean it in a bad way at all. It's just that I do this for you guys in hopes that it is helpful and it is relaxing. So if it wasn't helpful or relaxing, I wouldn't try to keep doing it. But anyways, as usual, I apologize for the noise in the background. I'm just gonna keep it at that. So, I'm just gonna get started with the video. And I'm just gonna go through books that I've read before, kind of like in my previous 2 videos. So we'll get started with that. Okay, so the first book that I have here is In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. So I had to read this for high school and analyze it. That's why you see all these tabs here. So the back says, on November 15, 1959, in the small town of Holcomb, Kansas, 4 members of the Clutter family were savagely murdered by blasts from a shotgun held a few inches from their faces. There was no apparent motive for the crime, and there were almost no clues. As Truman Capote reconstructs the murder and the investigation that led to the capture, trial, and execution of the killers, he generates both mesmerizing suspense and astonishing empathy. In Cold Blood is a work So the back says, The Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald's third book, stands as a supreme achievement of his career. This exemplary novel of the jazz age has been acclaimed by generations of readers. The story of the fabulously wealthy Jay Gatsby and his love for the beautiful Daisy Buchanan of lavish parties on Long Island at a time when the New York Times noted gin was the national drink and sex the national obsession. It is an exquisitely crafted tale of America in the 1920s. The Great Gatsby is a true classic of 20th century literature. And then it talks about the author. So it says, F. Scott Fitzgerald was born in St. Paul, Minnesota in 1896, attended Princeton University, and published his first novel, The Side of Paradise, in 1920. That same year, he married Zelda Sayer, and the couple divided their time between New York, Paris, and the Riviera, becoming a part of the American expatriate circle that included Gertrude Stein, Ernest Hemingway, and John Dos Passos. Fitzgerald was a major new literary voice, and his masterpieces include The Beautiful and Damned, The Great Gatsby, and Tender is the Night. He died of a heart attack in 1940 at the age of 44 while working on The Love of the Last Tycoon. For his sharp social insight and breathtaking lyricism, Fitzgerald is heralded as one of the most important American writers of the 20th century. Sorry if I keep twitching my eye. My contact is bothering me. Okay, so that was The Great Gatsby. The next book I have here is currently my absolute favorite, and it's a poem book. And it's Homebody by Rupi Kaur. I love this book, and I just put tabs on some of my favorite poems from the book. So this, it has quite a bit of pages, but they're very short poems on each page, so it really doesn't take that long to read. I read straight through it, basically, as soon as I got it. But I'm going to reread it in bits and pieces, because I think poetry truly is a different experience. At least for me. Everybody's experience is different when it comes to reading and literature. But I read it all. I went through a roller coaster of emotions with this book, and now I just kind of want to read bits and pieces and kind of pick it apart. That's just what I like to do with poems. But anyways, there's one poem on the back, and it says, After feeling disconnected for so long, my mind and body are finally coming back to each other. And it says, Homebody. And it has this little illustration. I love her poem books. I think this is their third one. There's this one. There's The Sun and Her Flowers and Milk and Honey. I loved all three so much. She has a way of giving such profound meaning and depth to such short poems. Some of her poems are like a little bit longer, but there's some that are literally a sentence there's a few that I've read, and two in particular that I want to talk about. And it's a series. Okay, so the first one is called, I'm reading it off of my iPad because I have the Kindle app there. My Kindle died. So, the first book that I read, and I finished this one, it's called Wake Me Up After the Apocalypse. And it says Bunker Book 1. So this is the first book out of a 2-book series. And I wish I had this book physically, which I might buy, to be honest, because it was that good. And I like the cover of it. But let me read the description. So it says, when a killer comet hurtles for the Earth, 18-year-old Joanna Murphy is selected to wait out the apocalypse in an underground bunker. She enters cryo-sleep with her close-knit team, preparing to resettle the planet after the atmosphere clears in 200 years. Joanna is the only one who wakes up. Faced with a bunker full of bones and a blocked exit, Joanna must claw her way to the surface, figure out what happened to her team, and try not to panic or die. That's going to be tricky if she's the only person left in the world. So, needless to say, this book was intense, and it was freaking awesome. I personally loved it. I think the concept is really interesting. There's a lot of books about the apocalypse, but this was more like a sci-fi-ish kind of book, and it presented like their solution for the apocalypse was interesting to